Jimmy Dore.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's show. It's 3:12. That is officially I'm on time. I'm here with
early.
3
minutes early.
I'm here with Americans comedian Kurt Metzger. Just so everybody knows, I'm still officially under the weather. I never really fully recovered from my flu. I don't know if I caught another cold or something, but I'm fatigued, body aches. So that's what
Maybe a flu shot.
Maybe I should get my flu shot. Maybe that's it.
Maybe try more flu shots.
Yeah, I should get my booster, my 11th booster. I wanted to start with this. So we're going to have Stephen Gardner on today at 11:30. So at 3:30. I'm very excited. First time for Stephen to be on the show. I've been on his show several times.
Yeah.
So the headline is Virginia Giuffre, one of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent abuse survivors, dies by suicide. Is there really anybody working at MSNBC who believes that? There can't be. That's my conspiracy. How about that? So just to recap, instead of Trump and Pam Bondi releasing the Epstein evidence being suppressed, one of the victims was suicided. No. You shouldn't be suspicious at all that she's talking. Well, here she is. Because why is this suspicious? So there she is. The media immediately jumps to it's a suicide. She tweeted this out in 2019, December 10th, 2019. So about roughly 5 years ago. I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I... Actually, that's more like 4 years ago, right? I'm not good at math. I'm not a math surgeon. I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I've made this known to my therapist and my general practitioner. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. So, why should we be suspicious? Just that she's talking about the fact that she isn't suicidal and that evil people want her dead. Why would the same people behind Jeffrey Epstein want one of his victims dead? It's what are you going to put your tinfoil hat on a little too tight? And by the way, where the F do you get tinfoil these days? It's all aluminum, right? I got to go back to 1913 just to get tinfoil. I'd love tinfoil.
That's right.
Aluminum's no good. Tin, I'll take tin. And by the way, if you could go back to 1913, what would you do? That's my big question.
In 1913? Stepping a lot of horse shit, probably.
Yeah, probably. By the way, a lot of people say right before they suicide themselves that they're not suicidal. That happens all the time. That's called a cry for help, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Cry for no help.
So what
it's
I did...
cry for no help.
Here's what I tweeted out. I said, Virginia Giuffre tweeted Giuffre was not suicidal. She knew they were going to kill her. The Mockingbird media immediately reports she committed suicide. Immediately. If you think Epstein's most vocal and outspoken victim committed suicide, then I've got a COVID vaccine I'd like to sell you. That's me being cheeky.
Can you just give it to me for free?
I think so. So here's a little bit of the story. So her life certainly fell apart since she tweeted that out. Since she tweeted out she's not suicidal, a lot of sketchy things happened, right?
Like 6 years.
She got into a bus crash. A bus crashed into her, rendered her. She said it was going 70 miles an hour. I've never seen a school bus go 70 miles an hour.
110. She said 110.
Did she?
It was not.
There's no way that could be. So, and then she didn't even go to the hospital that day. She went the next day. And then at the hospital, she said the doctor said I have 4 days left to live because of my kidney thing. Well, first of all, what doctor says 4 days? But there's a lot of speculation that because her marriage had fallen apart of 22 years and her kids were taken away from her, that she was being desperate and she was tweeting out that she's on death's bed so that her kids would come visit her. That's speculation. Right. It's all speculation. But
not unreasonable.
No, of course, it's not unreasonable. So here's what I got this from the Gateway Pundit. The New York Post, however, reported that the crash was minor and that a mother of one of the children on the school bus reportedly said, I don't know what's true and what's not true, but I do know the injuries are not from the bus incident. So she had all these injuries. She had all these bruises and what have you. Gouffre was sexually abused by Epstein and Maxwell from 1999 through 2002.
When we say sexually abused, let's be clear. She was raped repeatedly.
Yeah, she said she was passed around like a candy dish. After she met the couple in Florida and was lured into their scheme as she attempted to straighten out her life. She was a victim of sexual abuse as a child. So that's exactly the kind of people they prey on, right? Gouffre said that she was trafficked to many high-powered friends of Epstein, most notably Prince Andrew and French modeling mogul Jean-Luc Brunel. Gouffre sued Prince Andrew in 2021, leading to an undisclosed settlement in 2022 while maintaining he never had sex with her. Yeah, okay. That's why
And he doesn't sweat. Here's his two
that's right.
honest statements.
Remember that? He doesn't sweat? That was his big
Couldn't
thing.
have been
It's like a
me.
dog.
So, guess what? That guy Brunel was charged with sexual harassment and the rape of a minor in December of 2020. Gouffre testified against him in Paris in June of 2021. While he denied wrongdoing, he died allegedly by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Epstein died of suicide. Brunel died of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Now the accuser died of suicide. It's
It's a sad story. Really must be a story of bullying now that I think of it.
So he died of suicide while in pre-trial detention. Sounds just like Jeffrey Epstein's suicide, doesn't it? He was in pre-trial detention, and he died to say he killed himself. That's a little chagrin. What is the
Any
chances?
word on the guards there?
What are the chances that would happen? I'm going to guess, I don't know, 100%. So it looks like they were afraid Brunel was going to spill the beans. So they suicided him. Okay. So there's there's nothing clear about this case. I'm not saying she didn't suicide herself. I'm saying that I don't know how anybody could be sure. Now, our good friend Ryan Dawson, who's a friend of the show, he makes a compelling case here. He says Virginia Gouffre, her kidney failure wasn't from the car crash. Going to the hospital because of a car crash serendipitously alerted doctors to her kidney condition that was already terrible because I guess she was taking pills for years. She was taking opioids, and those mess up your liver.
You know what kind of pills it was?
No, I do not. Do you?
Oh, no, I never saw where it says. I just see pills.
Yeah,
A
pills.
lot of different pills.
They told her she had about 4 days to live if she didn't get treatment. She wanted to see her kids. No one came. Her kidneys were most likely dying from pills and the sexual abuse from sexual abuse, plus a looming divorce, plus being separated from her kids, plus tabloids attacking her was killing her. She self-medicated. She died last night, April 25th, and on her farm in Australia. And he says, I know people are making a picture of a post she made 6 years ago. It's not 6. It's about 5. It's about 5 years, right?
Yeah.
5. 4 or 5.
2019, 2025.
So
You're fine.
December of 2019 would be about 5 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. Saying she'd never kill herself. That was before losing her husband of 22 years and 3 kids. She said 2 weeks ago that she was ready to go and just wanted to see her babies one last time. She posted the song Somebody That I Used to Know, that song, Somebody That I Used to Know.
Elliott Smith, that's very, that is a kind of strong evidence if you post Elliott Smith music.
Well, he also committed suicide, Elliott Smith, right?
That some people don't think was suicide, but
you're kidding.
I have no idea. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's always a question.
She posted a black screen with a broken heart emoji. Okay. He goes on to say, stop saying Virginia was killed. You are scaring the shit out of the other victims. I've been calming down panicked women all day. This isn't some joke. Think before you write stuff. These are real people. Virginia has a family. I really hate conspiracy kooks. You don't...
Do you? Like,
Well,
look,
what?
if you're not purposeful disinformation, I don't know why you would have that feeling, because how are people to react? We didn't get the evidence we were supposed to get.
We didn't get it.
And now she's dead. So, both things are still plausible. I honestly am not sure, because it could have been that.
Okay. So he says, trust me, you don't You don't know the full extent of the story. Trust me, you don't.
I know. That's why everybody's suspicious.
Nobody knows the full extent. They never released all the Epstein stuff. And anyway, so keep going. And you don't have to, but you do know that you don't know. So stop flippantly guessing just because it's good for the memes.
That's not why.
I swear our social society is pure rot. People will do anything for clicks. Stop monetizing other people's suffering. Virginia was absolutely heartbroken, devastatingly hollowed. She is a huge reason why Epstein and Maxwell and Brunel all landed behind bars and why Prince Andrew lost $16 million. She did great damage to the pedophile network, but they also did great damage to her. Don't lie about her life or her death. No, I'm not lying. I don't know. I guess maybe other people are.
He's talking about like on X, people will post real like crap. You know, there's like aggregators like that Dong dude from Malaysia.
Okay. She had kidney problems, and that's not related to the bus accident. It's just something they discovered because of the accident. She wasn't doing well, and that's all I will say. And it's not a surprise to me at all that she took her own life. She had a 5-year nightmare with serial rapists. Honor what she did. She took them down. I do honor what she did. It damaged her. Other things did too, but this was a broken and rebuilt person. She jailed 3 of them and sued others. She brought closure to hundreds of women. She took on teams of lawyers with nothing and won. Never forget her courage and sacrifice. R.I.P. I'm not for. So I'm sure he's speaking to other people, hopefully.
I'm still angry that I don't know why do we not know still? What is this?
So I certainly don't know either way. Now, maybe Ryan has inside info that he hasn't released. He said, I'm not going to release that. That's all I'm going to say. So, and maybe if I had that information, I would think differently, but I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
But I do know there's lots of suspicious suicide. And so the theory is like, well, why would they kill her now? She already told her whole story. By the way, guess where she got trapped? Guess where Epstein met her? Do you know where Epstein met her? Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's where they got her. That's where they.
Well, Melania might be one of those brides that he developed for rich people.
So that's where all I know is that that's where they met her, and I think it's okay to speculate about this case. She's dead, so it's not going to hurt her, and I don't think it's crazy or irresponsible. You have to report it, and then you have to report that being skeptical of the official story doesn't make everybody a crazy kook. And
it sounds like he's talking to somebody specifically that he saw. To me,
yeah, I'm sure he saw a lot of garbage. So I immediately by the way, underneath my post, I immediately put his post there. I was like, hey, Ryan Dawson says I got this wrong, and he makes a compelling case. So it wasn't like I was trying to just tell one side of the story. I'm like, well, here's the other side of the story. And so there's,
look, the bottom line, that's crazy. Okay, even if, by the way, let's say his scenario that he said, and maybe like he has the knowledge of it, I still count that as them killing her. You know, if you got so damaged that you did enough pills to destroy your kidneys, you don't find out till a minor accident. Obviously, what our national security did to her is really like, to me, that's 100% to blame. Not 100, but 99%. And the fact they're not coming clean with it is like, that's spitting on whatever she did more than anything. And because we're supposed to, Ben had known that.
Well, of course, we also know, Kurt, that Epstein was working with Israeli intelligence, right?
No, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm Lex Friedman now. No, I don't like that, Jimmy.
So I would always say Mossad, but Whitey Webb, or do you say Whitney? I like to call her Whitey.
I say Whitney.
Whitney. She said that Epstein was working more with their military intelligence than the Mossad. So whatever, it's military. So Israeli intelligence. I'm sure the Mossad works hand in glove with the military intelligence. So it was just Israeli intelligence. So, and we
don't forget, Jimmy. What's her name? Still alive? Ghislaine. Now,
yeah, Ghislaine's still alive. Why isn't she dead?
I bet Epstein would have played ball and kept his mouth shut. Ghislaine was in charge. Her dad got a hero's funeral in Israel after they killed him.
Right.
He got a hero's funeral. She was in charge, not Epstein. He clearly worked for her because he's dead. You know, she's some kind of important bloodline is what that means. Like she's too important. Otherwise, she'd be dead too.
That's a very interesting theory.
And how do I really know that she's in jail? Jimmy, I want to
Well, I've always thought that.
I want to add
I always thought that. They say she's in jail, just like they say that Epstein killed himself. It's like, what? How do you know she's actually in jail? It wouldn't surprise me. Way crazier things have happened than the deep state lying, saying, "Oh no, she's in jail," and she's not. That's a very. I'm not saying she isn't in jail. I'm saying that it wouldn't surprise me if I found out she wasn't.
And what is she in jail for if they don't reveal anything that happened to those people?
She's in jail for trafficking young girls to very powerful men, except we don't know who any of the powerful men were. But they got her for doing it. But who did she do it with? Who were the men? Well, I guess we'll never know. So
I just wanted to add this really quickly. The Daily Beast just released the information, a story about Virginia.
Yeah.
And they were saying how her lawyer, Carrie Loudon, cast her doubts over Gouffre's death, claiming that there are big question marks over it. Quote, she was in a lot of pain, but she was looking forward to things in the future. She wanted to renovate this house and all sorts of things like that. Loudon, who had represented Gouffre since January, told The Sun, when I got the phone call, I was like, are you joking? Because there was no sign that was something she was considering. We've got big question marks over it. Not going to speculate whether it was a suicide or accidental.
So,
it's drug abuse.
Yeah, it could be.
No, it's not suicide either way because his thing is drug abuse.
Right.
Long-term drug abuse. What he's saying, I wouldn't call that suicide, would you?
So her own lawyer is saying that there's doubt about this case. So no shade to Ryan. Big fan of Ryan and his work. And again, like I say, friend of the show. I admire his work. He does. So I'm just saying that and I'm not saying I disagree with what he said. I'm just saying that it's okay to question this. It's super sus, as the kids say.
And we want justice.
And it's what's also sus is that the people who ran and campaigned on releasing the Epstein information pretended they released it to those handful of conservative influencers, and they didn't.
Yeah, you would have thought the shame would have drove some of them over the edge.
So this had, Brunel's suicided. She's suicided. Epstein suicided. Come on, and somehow Ghislaine not suicided, and she's supposedly in prison. I would like some. Isn't it weird that she doesn't do, and she's not doing any interviews from prison? Isn't that also interesting? I mean, Charlie Manson did interviews from prison his whole life.
She did one.
Did she?
I saw one. Oh yeah, I saw one.
She did.
Now, yeah, people have been and seen her. Now it's very possible she's living quite well as part of the deal in that prison. People that are in prison like that, notoriously for years, like the mafia hitmen used to get furloughs. So there's no telling what kind of sweetheart stuff without even sneaking it. Just legally they can do, because they did it for Epstein, if you remember. Epstein could leave his prison the first time he got taken.
Yeah, the first time. That's right.
So it's not like she's not in prison, but you think she's getting bad treatment? You think she's not getting something a little extra good? Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody certainly doesn't want this getting out there, but I'm sure everything is just the way it looks. I'm sure everything is just the way it looks. Now go about your business. Nothing. This show's over, folks. Nothing to see here. So I don't think that. I think that we need a lot more answers. I think we need a lot more investigation. And I think we need people I think it's okay to be skeptical of the official story. I think it's 100% okay to be, especially this. So,
yeah, it's kind of look, they're classifying it. This is, again, Dave Smith said this to, I don't know who it was. It was a great point he made. Okay, so there's a child trafficking network here, which that should be just eradicated immediately. But you're saying you have to hide the identities of the very important, powerful people for national security, and that's what America is worth. America, for security, will allow a major child trafficking ring of American kids and never bring the people to justice. That's what your country is.
Yeah, not a legit. So now you know why. Also, they had to come down so hard on those. What was it called? The Pizzagate. right? And so
Yeah,
if you've
and
ever
that has not been debunked.
that has not been
Sorry.
debunked. If you've ever Kurt, now didn't you have information that the guy who shot up Pizzagate
It's just public information. He shot a hard drive in the closet.
he went in and shot the hard drives at that pizza parlor.
It was an accident, I guess. I don't know. Then
and then what happened to that guy? Then that guy got released with no charges,
a
right?
week later. People in January 6th were in jail for how many years?
Yeah, right. For 20, some of them 23 years.
This guy got out a week later.
So the guy who shot up that pizza place,
out of work actor. That's his job. I'm not saying that to
he got
conspiracy.
let out a couple weeks later, and then
just at Christmas he gets killed by the cops.
Then just last Christmas he gets killed by the cops in a shootout.
So yeah, there's a lot of strangeness. Also, the guy's name James Elephantis. That is not a real name. And if you look up what his name looks like in French, which is like Jaime l'Enfant, it means I love the little babies. So he gave himself a fake name. There's a lot of weirdness.
There's a lot of So the biggest weirdness comes from these Podesta emails. If you ever read those, when they talk about, hey, we're going to fly in $50,000 worth of pizza and hot dogs. Obama's flying it in, and then hey, if you guys could go for a swim with the kids and have a pizza. You get all this pizza. So definitely, whenever you're not allowed to question something, which you weren't allowed to question Pizzagate, you're just like Seth Rich, just like COVID, just like the vaccine, just like the Wuhan virus. When you're not allowed to question anything, normal questions, then you know they're covering up something. So when you weren't allowed to question Pizzagate, even ask a question about those emails and about what they're obviously using code terms, pizza. And that means they're covering up something. I learned that firsthand from Seth Rich. How hard, if they come down so hard on you for just asking normal questions that anybody, a normal person would have, they're covering up something. So there was definitely, of course, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it wasn't a child sex ring with the Pizzagate, but they wanted to squash anybody talking about a child sex ring because the government was running one. Or with Jeffrey Epstein, because they actually were running a child sex trafficking ring. They actually were. And then there's P. Diddy, and now there's Diddy. So it's all, and again, it's all over the place. So they didn't want people, they wanted to make it toxic to ever ask a question about a child sex trafficking ring being connected with the powerful people running the world. And obviously there was at least one.
How about Marc Dutroux? How about in the 90s when all those Belgians were out in the street because their royal family and people high up were in a network with that Marc Dutroux, who was even worse than Epstein. That was a huge news that I had never heard until you had Whitey Webblehunt and she talked about it. These are all connected. They're all connected, and they go back a long way. So, just like the drug running, just like the CIA took over drug running.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, and the guy who exposed the CIA running crack in Los Angeles committed suicide. How? He shot himself in the head twice. That's the official story. Shot himself in the head twice. Okay, so I'm just saying that I think it's A-okay for you to be skeptical of because the lawyer is, her own lawyer is skeptical. It's A-okay to be skeptical of it. And why aren't they releasing all the information on Epstein? Because it has to do with Israel. That's 100% why. And it has, and maybe even who knows if Trump is implicated. They met at Mar-a-Lago. There's millions of pictures. Everybody knows he was buddy with Epstein. So was Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times did they fly on that Lolita Express and go to the? So it's too many powerful people, including Israel. So it's 100% legit to be skeptical of this story and ask questions because even her own lawyer is skeptical of it. So I got to go.
They're blotting out the sun right now in UK. So now I'd say all things are on the table as far as craziness. Yeah. I understand hating disinfo people because the Pizzagate thing you brought up, when Hillary's emails were out, people, and I think this is on purpose. I don't think it's someone stupid. I think on purpose they're putting out fake emails where she's like, oh, it's sacrifice night. And that's a debunked, and it is debunked. But that's what they do. They muddy the water with nonsense things. 9/11, oh, it was a hologram, the plane. You could hear people saying stupid stuff, and what I didn't know at the time is there's people on purpose doing it.
Yes.
But if you on your own think the wrong thing, I don't look down on you at all.
So when people pull out, so when you got guys like Kurt Weldon, who's very credible, was next in line to be chairman of the Armed Services Committee, and then the FBI sabotaged him because he started asking questions about what actually happened on 9/11. So now he's coming out. He was on our show, over 1 million views. He goes on Tucker's show, 5 million views. And so now this skepticism about 9/11 come out. Now you see people start tweeting, oh, the planes were holograms. So that's to try to discredit anybody who's asking questions. That's what Kurt is saying. And that certainly makes sense. So they try to make, so they do that. That's why they call the people truthers, right? They even made the word truth toxic. Oh, you're a truther. You mean
I'm a liar.
So you mean I'm asking actual legitimate questions? You mean engineers, hundreds and hundreds of legit engineers, the head of the engineering department at the University of Alaska, they're all saying that those buildings didn't come down the way they said they did. So they try to make that toxic.
One of these guys just asking questions?
Yeah, so they have to make that toxic, right? Just like during the anti-war movement in the 60s, the CIA and the deep state had to influence look, it's just the hippies. It's these scummy drug addict hippies. Before that, the anti-war protesters were all people in suit and ties, and then it's just these scum. So that's exactly what they do. They try to discredit anyone who's onto their car and onto their shit. So,
Jimmy, I'm sure there's nothing to this coincidence that all the thought leader counterculture musicians that drove that were all the sons and daughters of military.
And all of them.
I'm sure there's no reason for that.
No reason.
Probably just
all of them. All of them. Yeah. But I just want to remind people, we'll see you this Saturday in Bakersfield. We're doing standing-up comedy in Bakersfield. And then Sunday at the Improv in San Jose. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. And right now we're going to bring on our guest, Stephen Gardner. And Kurt,
I'll see you guys later.
We'll see you later.